Assalamu alaikum, welcome back to another video. I'm literally recording this the same day, so this is in the morning, and then I'm going to post this later in the day. I just literally woke up early in the morning because I was watching Al Nassr's game for the Saudi Super Cup, and they lost through penalties. I don't really mind it. I just want to see Ronaldo's last kind of couple of years of his career before he's fully gone. And also with Messi, I also keep up with him as well. So yeah, it just sucked the way that Ronaldo lost. Obviously I was rooting for him, but it's whatever. So I just wanted to record this real quick, and then after this I am going to go work out, and then later I'm gonna watch the Barcelona game with my friend. So yeah, today's video I wanted to talk about Real Madrid's upcoming game, which is against Real Oviedo. I think I'm pronouncing that right. I don't even remember this team. I don't know if they got promoted recently, but I did a couple research on them, and I was looking at how they performed recently, especially in the preseason, and I believe they only got maybe one win, and then they got a draw, and then I think they lost their opener, and then they lost another preseason game. So this team didn't really do much leading up to the opening of the season. And I feel like that Real Madrid can win against this team if they play correctly and if they don't take chances, as in opening the play for Real Oviedo. I got some of the stuff pulled up, and I know that they got a squad that is more defensive. And if you guys remember what happened in the other game for Real Madrid against Osasuna, they kind of had all 10 men playing defense, and they had like 6 in the back. Now that I look back at it and I reflect, I feel like that it made sense why Real Madrid couldn't score and they couldn't really find an opening, because when you have a team that just sits back and, quote unquote, like they all say, park the bus, it's kind of hard to score. So it made sense, but at the same time I was a little frustrated with how we couldn't really find a threat, and we played very slow to their advantage of them having that many men on the back. But what was good is that Real Madrid did have possession of the ball for majority of the match, which was more than 70%, I believe, which is good, right? So it just tells you with that 70% possession, right? If you didn't watch the game but you look at that stat and you don't know how the game went, you would assume that Real Madrid did horrible. But if you watch the game, like I said, you would see that everybody was in the back. So I believe that this team is going to play the same as how Osasuna played. And I think that Real Madrid should do what I was just telling you what they should do. But before I get into that, and I feel like the Real Madrid should do what they should have done against Osasuna, what I said, right? Which I said that they have to switch the plays fast, right? And they have to move fast with that fast tempo. That is something that Real Madrid did not have this just last game against Osasuna. They played very slow. They didn't have that fast tempo. So it kind of made sense why Real Madrid couldn't find an opening. Before I get into all the stats and how Real Madrid could beat this team, which is kind of going to be the same points as I mentioned against Osasuna, I did want to talk about their lineup. It was just released who is going to be playing, right? There's no official lineup yet, but I believe that Xabi Alonso should play this lineup. If I'm being completely honest, this is my opinion. I could be wrong, but it's up to you guys if you guys think that I am right about this, or maybe I'm wrong, all right? But you should be able to test things out, right? Xabi Alonso, right after that Osasuna game, said that nobody's guaranteed starting position, right? So this gave me kind of the mindset of going with this lineup, which is kind of one change. It was only one change. This is the lineup that I want to try. So last game we had the same lineup, but except two players, not one. Two players. So we had Franco on the bench and Rodrygo on the bench, but something that happened last game was that Franco got a couple minutes and Rodrygo didn't. And I think that we should put Vini on the bench just to start off on the bench and test out Rodrygo with Mbappé up there, or test out Franco, Rodrygo, and Mbappé, right? I feel like that this lineup would work only for a couple things, right? So when I think about Vini, right, I don't see him, in my opinion, from last season, the season before that, and this season so far, I don't see him being that player that's playing for somebody, right? So if you guys look at this lineup, for example, this lineup shows you that you should play the ball through Mbappé, right? If not Mbappe, then it goes to the wingers. But I think that Vini and Mbappe are kind of on the same level where they don't want to, they kind of have, they want to play for themselves and not for others. Does that make sense? Like I mentioned, Real Madrid, right, when they had Ronaldo, right, they played through Ronaldo, right? Most of the balls was playing for Ronaldo to score. But if Ronaldo couldn't be there, it's Benzema. If Benzema couldn't be there, it's Bale. But there's always a first, second, third option. I think that Vini and Mbappe are the first options in their heads, so I think that's why it hasn't worked to its fullest potential. But I think that Rodrygo, like I said, he doesn't mind. He doesn't mind playing that team player role. And if it has to come down to him having to score the goals, then I think he will take that role. So there's a couple things that I feel like Real Madrid should do in this game that can benefit them. For example, number one, I don't like Mbappe going all the way back here. If it's to drag out defenders to him, that makes sense. But when he does it, right, and then he's like, he has the ball like over here, and then he wants to bring it up himself. Nobody's here, and then if you guys look at last game, Arda Guler was literally making the runs in the box. More, even though Mbappe was here, and let's say this is Vini who was here, Arda Guler would be the one making the runs. I don't know if that's like a tactic from Xabi to like drag the defenders with him. I don't know if that was, but it did not work at all. It did not work. So I think that Mbappe should always be the one staying up here. He has to play as that, maybe not a pure 9, but he should play as that role that he's always going to be up front to get the ball. Because once he has the ball up front, this whole area is Mbappe. He could control the ball, and he's good at it. He's really good at it. But it just sucks when he's over here, right? And then Arda Guler is not bad going up. I'm not going to lie. Arda Guler is good, but it's just that why do we have an attacker all the way back here? And then you have the two best attackers. You have Vini here and Mbappe here. Like, who's in the middle? You get what I'm trying to say? We don't have Bellingham. If Bellingham was here, then maybe it would work depending on the tactic. But obviously last season it did not work. Everybody was playing towards that left-hand side. So I think that Mbappe should stay here. Arda Guler should be the one controlling everything in the middle. I'd be seeing him drifting and roaming around. I think that's part of the tactic. And it works. Arda Guler is really good with both feet. Rodrygo, I think, is going to be key. If Rodrygo starts, I think that he is going to be key to getting the ball to his teammates. Franco, on the other hand, I only seen him one game. I only saw his highlights, and he's really good. He's a really good player, and I think that he also plays for the team as well. I don't think that he's the type to have that mindset where he has to be the one that shines. He's really good at dribbling and really good at passing. So I think having them as really good dribblers and passers and also scorers are really good, and they prioritize who should they play the ball to, right? And they're creative. They are really creative. They have different ways of getting into the box. If I'm being honest, look, I love Vini. He's one of my favorite players as of right now. But the only thing that Vini really does is try to outpace his opponent. And, it works, but it's readable. As soon as you know that Vini goes over here, he's either going to cross it or try to shoot it from this angle. And then most of the time, like I'm talking about maybe like 8 out of 10 times, it doesn't really work. So when you have that creativity and those different approaches into getting the ball in the box or getting the ball to your teammates' feet, I think it could come through Rodrygo and Franco. So those are the only two changes that I would put in this lineup. Obviously Tchouaméni is really good at that, helping the back line. Valverde is really good at bringing up the ball and his passes. Trent, as we know, is good with his passes. Carreras is really good. He is really good at his defensive techniques and also bringing up the ball and his passes. This back line is really good, and I pray they don't get injured and they stay healthy. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about this lineup. This is my lineup that I would put and test out for this game, because since this game isn't as competitive compared to other games, it's worth a try, right? Give Vini a couple minutes rest and see what Rodrygo can do for maybe the first half and the sub him out, depending on how the game goes. In my opinion, there are a couple ways to get this team to win. And number one is having ball possession, right? So even though you have the ball possession for longer than the other team, I don't think it gives you the excuse to kind of play at that slow tempo every single time you have the ball, right? Like I said, when you pass the ball from left to middle to right, when you do that slow tempo passes, the team, all that team kind of shifts with you, right? And then if they shift with you and they kind of read it, then it gives you an opportunity to switch plays fast or catch them off guard with those passes. But if you look at last game, right, against Osasuna, there was no kind of sneaky passes or quick plays or any tactical attacking passes or anything. So I think that Real Madrid this game have to show those passes where they cut through the middle with the passes, through balls over the top, instead of like kind of switching from one wing to another. That's like Ancelotti ball, and I don't think it works anymore. So we shouldn't rely on individual brilliance. That's another key thing that I said, that I wanted to say. And like I said in my clip, you have to stretch the players wide. You have to make them be stretched out wide, because when you have everybody playing too close, the defenders now are playing close, and that's the goal. They want to play narrow, but if you spread them out, right, and then you have Arda Guler as well, who is playing in the midfielder in the midfield, and he's making the runs, it opens up opportunities with the crosses, with the passes, and then you drag people with you. You drag the defenders with you in the box where there's only like 3 defenders now, because you're dragging them and spreading them wide. That gives you opportunity to pass it maybe to Valverde, who's outside the box, to take those crazy shots. It gives you an opportunity to pass it out to the box and then a through ball. I don't know how I see those plays and not the players themselves, or not the manager himself. I could be wrong. Like I said, I could probably be seeing this in a whole different way, but that's just something that I think that they should try, especially against teams like Osasuna and Oviedo. I think that they have to try these type of passes and these type of plays, because if the slow tempo doesn't work, you can't just keep going within, fingers crossed we get another penalty. No, come on. We have to try these different tactics and different approaches. The pressing is going to be key. The pressing last game was really good. I love the way Vini presses Mbappé. He's still got to kind of put more effort into pressing, but I love the way that we're pressing and we're pressuring, and that's how we got the ball possession over 70%. So pressing is going to be key, and also keeping that high intensity. You have to keep the high intensity throughout majority of those 90 minutes, because if you don't, you give the players time to think, relax, and especially once they get the ball, somebody has to charge to them. Don't give them time to make a play or make a pass. I hate when a player gets the ball and then you're just standing in front of them waiting for them to do something. No, press the ball, fake it, right? You could, what is the word? You could kind of jab to them, when you fake act like you're going to press them, do those. You got to do those, and don't give them time to think and make the passes. Play high intensity, high tempo, fast tempo. Play wide. You have to play wide. And creativity. Be creative with your passes. Be creative with the way you switch plays. Be creative with how you want to get into the box. No creativity, you guys are going to rely on penalties. So let me know what you guys think. That is my breakdown of the team, and in my opinion, how they could win, especially with the lineup that I just showed you guys. Like I said, I'm not an expert or anything. I'm just giving my own opinion. I could be wrong, but I'm open to listening to whoever wants to say their opinion. If anybody's watching, leave it in the comments below. Make sure you guys go follow in all the other social medias, TikTok, Instagram, and also YouTube. And give this video a like if you enjoyed it. And until then, I will see you on the next video. Assalamu alaikum.